Hey, it's now design engineering ideas. I thought about it some and I kind of wanted to get rid of the magic. It's not magic. It's not some... there is a spiritual world out there, but it's deliberate. It's not... It doesn't just appear out of nothing. And even though magic was what my business was, I called it metal magic. When I had my machine shop, I've maybe decided to mature a little bit, and it ain't magic. So what is it? Well, I don't know about that. I don't really know what it is, except that, that there's a spiritual world out there, and in my spiritual world, his name is God. Now that may seem to be a little off the subject, but I was watching videos on something never heard of. Burning Man. Some people call it an art festival. Some people call it a drug-induced orgy. Some just call it having a good time out in the middle of a desert, because that's where it's held. Once a year, they have this Burning Man festival, and a lot of people go out there. In fact, I hear it's either 70 or 80,000 people are there. I've heard the tickets are around $400. I hear that basically everything you need for the week you better bring with you, because you have to have what you need. In other words, there's no money exchanged. Now, people give stuff away. I hear they give drinks and all that kind of stuff away, depending on where it's at or whatever. I saw one guy was breaking open coconuts, and people were drinking the milk, if you call it that. It was, it looks pretty interesting in some ways. Really dirty, dusty. It's, well, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of art there. There are art cars. There are some other crazy vehicles they don't call art. What's the difference? I don't know. Some are just rolling dance clubs, if you will. Lots of laser, neon, lights. Sheesh, what's the other one that we use now? But anyway, a lot of lights. And there's areas where you just kind of ride around your bicycle, and there's an art object sitting there all by itself. Of course, most of the art is quite big. Just go on YouTube and put Burning Man 2017. And actually, you can go back some years too, and it's all kinds of stuff, and some nudity, and I don't know. One girl had a video on there about how to get laid. I didn't think you would really need a video for that. But here's how my mind works. I'm looking at that. Now, I consider myself an artist, but that's not my background, really. But I thought, I wonder how I can get an art object in there, I you know, because I guess there's some kind of qualifications or something, which I'm going to look into. I haven't done that yet, though, but I'm going to. I'm going to see what it takes. So then I thought, well, then if I'm going to do that, I ought to have something as far as an idea. I got an idea. Where does it come from? I mean, where does this shit come from? I look at stuff and I all of a sudden have an idea. And it takes one of my old art drawings, and I turned it into a 3D sculpture, just like that in my head. I've already planned most of it out. My biggest issue is how much is it going to weigh, so that I can figure out how I'm going to support this thing, because I need to hang it up sort of like a mobile, but I don't think I want it to be a mobile. I think I want to stay in a specific position, because as you, especially from a distance, as you walk around it, it's going to look so much different than what you expect when it's actually being looked at, I'll call it straight on, in the 2D view. So I got this idea. So now I've got to make it work. Now this I'm not going to show, because I don't know. It might happen. It's got I got a year to do it. I got plenty of time. I'll guarantee you I can get it done. The biggest issue is a place to work. Actually, that's not even the biggest issue. The biggest issue is the cost of the material and the cost to get out there. So, and I don't know what they charge. And I guess I would have to make it light up. What the hell? Everybody else's is. There was one really cool one. It just looked like a real tree. And of course all the leaves lit up in it. That one was really cool. Yeah. I liked it because of the way it, I mean, there's no trees around out there. It is just flat, nothing growing. Nothing. So, anyway, I'm going to take a look at that. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you up to date if I find anything out about it. Maybe somebody out there would like to, you know, get in on something like that. So now I want to talk about show you another item that I designed back when I was in high school. This was a hacksaw. Well, of course you say, well, what's the big deal about that? You know, but it taught me a lot of things, and here it is. Now, if you notice this part here and this one here, those two are made out of aluminum. So I had to somehow come up with a way of creating that shape. I also want you to see that this piece out here rocks back and forth, and that's how you tighten the blade. You turn this screw back here when it's down in the slot, and this goes out and it tightens the blade. Alright, well, here's my design. I don't know why I chose the pieces I did the way I did. In fact, even sitting here right now, I wonder if I could have done it differently. I'd had to have seen how big our molds were. But at school, we were able to cast aluminum. And the method for doing that almost always was the lost foam method. I say almost, not really. It was half and half. We could do, you know, impressions as well. So I got myself some styrofoam and I made the shapes that you see there. And once I got them shaped up, you just put them down in the sand, pack it in around, and you make it 2 halves of a mold. Actually, you don't make 2 halves, excuse me. You just have to put breather holes in there, a pore hole and breather holes. Now I'm going to share this with you. It pissed me off because this one guy liked doing all the casting. That's all he ever did. He never ran any of the machine shop equipment. One day I go down there and I find that he got my styrofoam stuff out and went ahead and poured it. I'd have liked to kill him, because that was going to be part of my experience. So I didn't get to do it. I raised a fuss about it, but I wasn't going to get anywhere, so I just let it go at that. So I just take a file over it and clean it up and make things look a little prettier. I got to drill a hole here. I got to cut a slot here and here. I got to drill and tap for pipe threads on both ends. And then I got to establish the length of the pipe I need. I got to make up this bar. I did some shitty ass welding, but I did it. And after I got everything put together, I put my blade in there and I drew it up tight. And I was all happy with it. And I went to go to saw something with it and it got loose. So I tightened it up some more. I sawed some with it and it got loose. And I tightened it up some more. See how the pipe is not square with the aluminum handle? You see how it's less than a 90 degrees? What's that hanging on there? Well, that aluminum's not strong enough. And I didn't have deep enough threads. I really should have had a straight thread, if anything. Because there's no way a pipe thread would have tapered back far enough. And I should have gone way back in here to get the support I needed. But it didn't happen. And it actually gave on the other end as well. So I learned a few things. Things aren't quite as rigid as I hoped. I should have come up with a different way of putting that together. Now, here's the other thing. If I had a large enough box, sandbox, to put this in, I didn't need that piece. I could have cast it from one end to the other. The pipe wouldn't even need to have been there. Or I could have made, and just this, I'm thinking of this just while I am talking. I could have cast that piece of pipe into the handle and the pivot out here. I could have cast it in and actually had aluminum all the way around it, or I could have just had it cast in at the ends. It would have done, you know, that's very much possible, and that's done. That's not something I'm just coming up with. So right there are two ideas. One, I could have had an aluminum all the way through. Two, I could have had the steel piece of pipe in there with it cast into the ends. Three, I could have had the steel pipe in there and the aluminum cast over top of it from end to end. So how about that? You just saw something being designed right in front of your eyes. Really wasn't much to see, was it? But that's how ideas happen. You just start thinking. That's how the Burning Man idea come up. Those are the kind of things that you do need to sit back though and say and establish some goal. I want to get into the Burning Man Art Festival. But I don't just want to live it. I don't just want to party it. I want to be part of it. That's one of the things with me. I've never wanted to be a spectator. I always want to be part of it. Even though I was no good at football, I wasn't going to sit there and watch football I did watch it for a while, but that was to learn something. I want to be part of it. And with that desire, I end up having ideas come to me. In fact, it just gives me an idea for another video. So, for my I'm Not Childish, a way to inspire you. Anyway, if you need inspiration, you need to want to be part of it. Thank you very much for listening, and see you next time.